Sí, sí, ¿cuáles son los jokes? You might need it. How about that?
Call to order the meeting of Mayor and Council. Thank you all for being here. If you will rise for the invocation by Councilman Santos.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Dios, grande, todopoderoso, creador del cielo y de la tierra, te venimos a dar gracias hoy y todos los días por todas las bendiciones que nos mandas a nuestro camino. Te damos gracias por la salud, te damos gracias por los alimentos, te damos gracias por el suspiro de cada día. Papá Dios, te pedimos que nos des gracia, inteligencia y sabiduría, que nos mandes bendiciones, que nos cuides, que nos blandes nuestros corazones, que nos hagas buenas gentes. Papá Dios, te pedimos que siempre nos cuídenos y gracias, Papá Dios. Amén.
Amen. Please remain standing for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the Okay, do we have any changes to tonight's agenda?
No, sir, we do not.
Okay, you all received the minutes from our last meeting. If there are no questions or comments, I'll accept a motion to receive those minutes.
So moved.
I have a motion from Councilman McCoy. Is there a second?
Councilman Holland, I second that motion.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. At this time, I'm going to invite up Chief Kraft to introduce his newest employee.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council Member, City Manager. Tonight, I'd like to introduce Nicole Mumford. Nicole, if you could come up just real briefly. Nicole started with the department on Sunday, April the 30th. She's from Parsonsburg, Maryland, transplanted to Laurel, so we won't hold that against her. But I do want to say that Nicole, in her short time, has done a fantastic job. She's already picked up several incidents at the Jay's Nest. She's very vigilant with the monitors, and she's quickly learning the job. We're very proud of her. She's doing a great job. If you could, I'd like to have you introduced to the council members. Councilman Santos. Councilman Henderson. City Manager Charles Anderson. Mayor Genshaw. Councilman Orlando, and Councilman Matt McCoy. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, I will call up Judge Whitelock to swear in our newly elected members.
We already did.
Councilman Henderson, you're first.
I, Dan Henderson,
Do hereby solemnly swear
do hereby solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of the State of Delaware
and the Constitution and the laws of the State of Delaware
and the Charter of the City of Seaford,
and the Charter of the City of Seaford,
that I will, with true faith
that I will, with true faith
and allegiance, bear to the same
and allegiance, bear to the same
and defend them against all enemies whatsoever,
and defend them against all enemies whatsoever,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of a council member
discharge the duties of a council member
of the City of Seaford
of the City of Seaford
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God. Thank you. I've used this pen 4 times, once each election. Well, and a piece of paper. Well, is that the same as better? Okay, thank you. Oh,
He's a new guy.
You got a room full.
What he said.
Okay, you can repeat after me, sir. I, Michael N. Bradley,
I, Michael N. Bradley,
do hereby solemnly swear
do hereby solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution and the laws of the State of Delaware
and the Constitution and the laws of the State of Delaware
and the Charter of the City of Seaford,
and the Charter of the City of Seaford,
that I will, with true faith and allegiance,
that I will, with true faith and allegiance,
bear to the same
and
and defend them against all enemies whatsoever, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties as a council member
run that by me again.
Discharge the duties as a council member
Discharge the duties of the council member
of the City of Seaford
of the City of Seaford
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God. Thank you. I got a sign.
You gotta have paperwork.
Sorry about that. First day with my new hand. Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay.
Sure.
Thank God these are all look like they're not.
I just want to take a few seconds to say thank you very much for the opportunity to serve. This has been a great honor. These past 3 years, they flew by really, really quickly, and it feels like I just kind of learned the job. So use the time that you have wisely because it goes by really quickly. And I just wanted to say I ran because I wanted to see some change, and I look around, I see a lot of positive change in the areas, and I would like to continue to see that. You guys will see me around, I'll be walking around, so just wave, okay?
You did a great job.
These guys are great, staff is great.
Thank you. You gotta get to the bottom of that. Okay. She'll intercept.
We'll invite you up. It's official.
Very humbling.
Yes, it is. We will give the family an opportunity. If they want to stay for the meeting, you're more than welcome to stay for the meeting, but if you wanted to leave now, it's a good time to exit. Okay, first thing that we do after an election is we vote on the vice mayor. Helping get fired up down there, huh?
I'm new. I'm going to ride that for a while. Yes, we vote for vice mayor after every election. No fancy machines, just paper and fold and pass them down. Okay, the vote is in, and it's 100% in support of Councilman Henderson remaining on as our vice mayor. So congratulations, Dan. Appreciate all that you do.
Thank you very much for your vote of confidence.
It's a vote of confidence. It's also a vote of work because the vice mayor gets asked to do a lot of things that are above and beyond and fill in on a short notice to do things that's not always on the calendar. And for me, I am incredibly grateful that he does what he does. So thank you so much. All right, for council liaisons, we're going to keep everybody the same. We're going to rotate Councilman Holland to administration and IT, and Councilman Bradley is going to take on code and Parks and Rec. Okay? Tonight, I know this is all really, really new, so the expectation is really, really low. So you're just enjoy the ride, and you'll just do your normal report tonight, and we'll just go for there. And we also are going to we have to vote on committees, correct? Reappoint committees. So in your packet, you have a list of all the. Do you have access to that, Councilman Bradley? Do you have access to the committees?
Should.
If not, we can. Typically, each liaison group has a committee assigned to it as well that we call together volunteers to review important and big decisions. So the public has input over projects we're considering, money we're considering spending. So after each year, we have to also vote on those committees, correct? So we need a motion to
Yes, sir.
keep the committees as is and the committee members as stated,
As recommended by the mayor.
as recommended by myself. There you go.
Yep.
Are any questions on the committees? If not, I'll accept the motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to accept the City of Seaford Boards, Committee, and Commissions as appointed by Mayor David Genshaw.
Okay, so we have a motion. Is there a second?
Councilman Holland, I second that motion.
Okay, thank you very much. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. Now, committees change throughout the year as people roll off for whatever reasons, and we appoint people as those become necessary. So you'll see this come back up. Okay. Next, we have public comment. Is there anyone here tonight for public comment?
Seaford Community Garden.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Nice to see you all again. Here for just a brief moment this evening. I promise I won't talk your ear off. But we did put together a fundraiser going on at the garden this Saturday. It's called the Garden Spring Fling of 2023, where we have North Pearl Street closed off so we can have vendors, food trucks, craft vendors, as well as a plant sale from our plants that we all volunteers grew together to sell to raise funds. So the event is from 10 to 2 this Saturday the 13th, and it's free and open to the public, and we hope that by coming down here we can spread the word and have more people join and back up the volunteers and of people in the community who are coming in.
Okay.
So we do have flyers that we'll leave off also there. And as well, I wanted to announce that we are now officially a nonprofit organization with the state of Delaware.
That's
So,
awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you
Great
very
job.
much.
Great job.
have a good evening.
Thank you. Anyone else here for public comment?
I will be reading tonight Mr. Dan Cannon's public comment. Okay. My public Can you hear me? Okay. My public comment for tonight is presented in absentia, but earnest and sincere nevertheless. First, regarding our last municipal elections, thanks are in order to all three candidates for city council. It takes guts to let it all hang out in the public arena. As I already said to Mr. Bradley, now the hard work begins. Second, thanks to the Seaford Board of Elections and the Seaford election officers on the success of the 4/15/23 elections. To the best of my knowledge, the correct people counted the absentee ballots, signed the certificate of election, and reported the correct election results, unlike what happened in 2020 and 2022, respectively. As usual, the election officers conducted an efficient and smooth voting operation, including keeping the candidates out of the restricted voting area from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Clearly, the mayor and city council have their work cut out for them considering the pitiful turnout on 4/15/23, despite the efforts of the three candidates to spark interest. All of us are appalled that 4,680 eligible voters did not cast ballots. Representative Danny Short has told us that according to Delaware's election commissioner, Anthony Albence, my partial solution to this problem, moving the municipal elections to the November general elections date, is not feasible. This puts the ball squarely in the hands of Seaford's and others, mayor and city council, to address and solve the problem. Clearly, weeping and wailing, as well as gnashing of teeth over the problem, will not do us much good. New and diverse thoughts are definitely required. Seaford's Board of Elections and election officers are people who have already shown that they care about the elections. They could be a significant source of new and diverse thoughts about improving municipal election voter turnout. I strongly encourage everyone to put their heads together and find ways to get the reticent 4,680 to vote on April 13th, 2024. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, is there anybody else here for public comment?
No.
Okay. I will ask the council to really consider our policy on public comment. Public comment is really intended for people to be present here to speak unless they're disabled or ill and can't make it. Then we'll allow for some flexibility for their words to be heard. But I know in the past we have read other letters, and so we've kind of created a pattern here, but we probably need to consider tightening up our policy, and that would have to come from the elected body. So something to consider maybe for a future agenda. So, okay. Do we have any correspondence?
No, sir, we do not.
Okay, first on the agenda tonight is Mr. Chris Smith with Integra to go over our 2023 health insurance. Is it every year right after an election that we go over health insurance? Is that how we introduce our new elected? Just lucky that way.
Okay, thank you, Mayor and Council, for inviting me to be here this evening to review the renewal for the health benefit plan for the city of Seaford. I could draw your attention to the letter that has been drafted in this folder I've handed out. I'd like to read it if I could. On behalf of the staff of Integra Administrative Group, we'd like to thank the city of Seaford and for their continued confidence in our organization as the administrator of the city's employee benefit programs. These programs include medical, prescription, dental, vision, hearing, and life insurance. Integra utilizes a variety of service partners to provide enhanced member value and to mitigate plan costs. These services include wellness, telemedicine, no copay generic prescriptions, prescription programs with member copay assistance, and chronic care management. In 2021 and 2022, the benefit plan year costs were 10% below expected and 24.4% below projected. In the current 2022-2023 benefit plan year, the costs are higher than projected and have exceeded the projected maximum value to date. Costs funded by the city which exceed the projected maximums will be reimbursed within 90 days following the 2022-2023 renewal plan year, which is June 1st. The 2022 Siegel Health Plan Cost Trend Survey forecast for health inflation trend was 7.3%. In 2023, the inflation trend is estimated to be 7.4%. The city's blended 3-year actual costs compared to the projected costs prior to this plan year were 2.1%. When we incorporate the 2022-2023 benefit plan year, the 4-year blended average costs are 4.3%, and this includes carrier reimbursements, okay, which is below the Siegel 4-year blended trend of 6.5%. Due to the annualized increase in trend costs, modest plan changes are recommended. The modest plan of benefit changes for consideration are in line with other municipal benefit plans. As challenging as the current year has been cost-wise, the data suggests that the 2023-2024 benefit plan year costs should improve. The recommendation. Integra requested proposals from 10 different insurance companies, rated A or better by AM Best rating agency. We presented the top 2 insurance carrier proposals for consideration. These carriers were Swiss Reinsurance Company, which is rated A+, and Sirius Point America Insurance Company, rated A-. Based on the benefit renewal meeting and subsequent correspondence, the recommendation is to accept the Swiss Reinsurance Company option 7A option with a projected cost increase of 12.07% and projected maximum increase of 22.93%. for the 2023-2024 benefit plan year. These cost projections include the plan changes recommended. In comparing the 2 carriers, this is on page 2, the Swiss Reinsurance Company offers a program called Experience Rewards. And what this allows is if the claims for the plan year are run better than expected by the insurance carrier, there is a potential refund back to the city upon renewal the following year of $40,200. The city will not be eligible for a premium refund for the current plan year due to the higher than average claims costs. Also, as part of the discussion as to the choice of this carrier, was the annualized premiums were $43,651 less than the other carrier that we were considering. Under a worst case scenario, the costs may be a little bit higher, maximum to maximum, but with the experience rewards benefit and the premiums being lower, the recommendation for Swiss Re Insurance Company still stands. Retiree benefits. The retiree benefit program is insured through the Hartford Group Retiree Insurance Trust. The renewal date for the Medicare eligible retiree program is January 1 of 2023. And for the 2023 plan year, the rate increase was 5.6%. The 2023 retiree monthly member rate is $549.49. And the retiree dental and vision benefits are administered by Integra at a rate of $33.61 a single and $12.65, for dental and $12.65 for vision. The life insurance is through Sun Life, and these rates are firm until September 1st of 2023. There's additional points and programs that are administered by Integra. It's included in this presentation. We could certainly address any of those that you would like to address. So I'll ask you if there are any questions at this time.
Okay, does council have any questions from Mr. Sothin concerning the 2023 health care plan for the city of Seaford? Yes, sir.
Could you explain the reimbursements for the excess? Could you spend a little time on that and explain how that affects the rates for the 23-24?
Yeah, so when the claims for the current year exceed the projected amount of premium that is set aside to the reinsurance carrier, the refund potentially coming back to the city, as I mentioned, the $40,000 was not something that we will get this year. But there are certain insurances that are in place that if the claims exceed certain maximums, that those monies will be returned back to the city. So we have those insurance contracts in place that if, again, claims exceed certain maximum levels, that those funds will be reimbursed back to the city.
So that by using whatever extra premium cost there is for that extra insurance or reinsurance, that makes us ineligible for any premium refund. Is that what I'm getting?
That's correct. Typically, 65% of the premiums that are paid to an insurance company are utilized to pay for claims that exceed specific volume amounts. 35 to 40% is for overhead, profitability, and other expenses. And for this current year, those claims have exceeded those maximums by a significant amount. So that's one of the reasons why the numbers are a little higher this year than we've seen in the past. Last year we had a flat increase. We had, basically no rate increase at all because we had a very good year. So monies are banked and held for years when claims are not as good as they have in the prior years. And claims typically go in waves. We see 3 years are fairly stable, and then we'll have a year that are higher than average, and then they tend to trend back down lower. So that can encompass 2 plan years at times, but right now we believe, based upon the data that we're looking at, that 23-24 should get us back into a normal wait pattern.
I know it's kind of difficult to speculate, but do you think some of this was COVID related, and that now that we're on the backside of that you'll see the city will see a better experience as far as costs?
Yes, we did see a delay, and I'm speaking of all plans that we administer a delay in care due to COVID. And what we're seeing is in the last 12 to 15 months, more services, shoulder replacements, knee replacements, those types of elective surgeries, we're starting to see more of as people feel more comfortable going to the hospital.
Deferred treatment in this plan year, help with that? Or
I'll say in general, I won't say specifically into the city situation, but I'll say in general, what we're seeing, that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions from council? Yes, sir.
Hey, Chris, about the rewards program.
Yes.
So from my understanding, Swiss offered a reward program, and then Serious Point America Insurance did not.
That's correct.
How commonplace is the rewards program? Is that a policy from other carriers? Is it infrequent, or is it common?
It's a fairly new program where premiums. If the claims run better than expected, that the carriers do reimburse or refund a portion of those premiums that they've collected. It's more for, say, marketing, to maintain a relationship with a client or an employer. So we see that used as a reward back to the plan for trying to do a good job in controlling claims costs.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions from council?
If I could just make a couple comments. In your package, you have a memo from the Director of Finance, June Merritt. She lays a lot of what Chris is talking about out, but I just want to make council aware. June is recommending the employee contribution towards the premium remain the same percentage as prior years. And at the very bottom of page 1 there, she shows the results in the employee paying the following amounts per week. So you'll see there, depending upon your coverage, the increase to the individual employee, whether you have single, employee child, employee spouse, employee family. So those percentages between the employer and the employee are remaining the same, but due to the increase, what the employees are paying is going up by those increased amounts. And then additionally, as was stated in the presentation, there were some changes made to what things are going to cost. So on page 2 there, as employees go to the hospital or to their doctor, those co-pays have been increased slightly. So you'll see there, and just to, June Merritt totaled the annualized estimated savings there, so that would save the city $34,845. I would just like to extend some thanks to Director Merritt as well as our relationship with Integra. They really worked on these numbers. You know, at the budget meeting just 2 weeks ago, we were looking at a very large increase in this line item. So getting this down was very much appreciated, and the work that they did really mattered. So it's much appreciated.
Yes. Okay, if there's no further questions, I'll accept the motion.
Councilman Holland, Mr. Mayor, I make the motion to approve the recommendation of Mr. Chris Smith with Integra, the city's third-party administrator, for option 7A with Swiss Re for the 2023 health insurance renewal as presented.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Holland. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Councilman McCoy seconds. Any questions on the motion? For training purposes, we'll do a roll call vote. Councilman Holland?
Aye.
Councilman McCoy?
Aye.
Councilman Henderson?
Aye.
Councilman Bradley?
Aye.
Very well, passed. Again, thank you for looking out for the city of Seaford. We do appreciate your efforts on our behalf.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you.
Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Yep.
Thank you.
If you have a young man in uniform in your audience, I think it's appropriate to invite him up to sit with us when we have an open chair. If you would just take a moment and introduce yourself and say where you're from and your troop.
My name is Calvin Calloway. I'm from Seaford and Troop 249. Thank you.
Calvin, thank you so much for being here with us. We appreciate it. Welcome. Okay, next we have the bids for the electric vehicles, and we'll call up Director Bennett.
Nope. I'll
Nope,
do it
sorry.
right here.
Sorry,
That's okay.
Mr. Bennett.
In your package, you have a memo, and the city did receive 3 bids in response to our solicitation for, on April 26, for 2 EUVs, so electric utility vehicles. Those 3 bids were from First State Chevrolet, Hertrick Fleet Services, and Tesla Incorporated. The low bidder was First State Chevrolet for 2 2023 Chevy Bolt EUVs LTs, and they're $60,970. They are the low bidder. It did meet our bid specification, so we are recommending awarding the bid to First State Chevrolet for these 2 vehicles. I'd just like to add, these vehicles should be delivered in the next budget year. They are included in our budget, and this is a grant from Energize Delaware, so it's really not money out of the city that we're paying for these. And there's one more bid to come soon for an actual truck, but that bid is still working through the process.
I can certainly try to answer any questions.
Okay, are there any questions in regards to the electric vehicles? Councilman Henderson?
So I understand that it's fully funded, there's no match, no
So,
money out.
so there is a match for all three vehicles. There's a $20,000 match that we have to put in. And we're doing some in-kind services as well, because part of the grant was the installation of 2 charging locations, one here at City Hall and one at the recreation facility. And we're leveraging some dollars there through DENREC, because they give you a 90% grant for those charging stations. So with Director Bennett's crews installing some of the chargers and hooking them up, we're using in-kind donations there. So there is a monetary donation of $20,000 for the 3 vehicles, and then in-kind services.
20,000 net or 20,000 for each vehicle?
20,000 total for approximately $130,000 worth of vehicles.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, good question. Any other questions? If not, I'll accept the motion.
Mr. Mayor, are you? Mr. Mayor, I'll make the motion to award a bid for electric vehicles to First State Chevrolet, the low bidder, in the amount of $60,970 for 2 Chevy Bolt EUVs as presented.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman McCoy. Is there a second?
Councilman Holland, I second that
Okay,
motion.
any questions on the motion? Not, we'll do a roll call vote. Councilman McCoy.
Aye.
Councilman Holland.
Aye.
Councilman Henderson.
Aye.
Councilman Bradley. Okay, it's passed unanimous. Thank you. All right, bids on the golf carts. Are you handling that one as well, or is?
No, our golf
Golf
pro,
pros.
Mike Connor, is here to walk council through the bids received.
Good evening, Council, and
Good evening.
Good evening.
So at the last meeting, we put in a bid for new golf carts for the Hooper's Landing Golf Course, which the city of Seaford owns. We've received 3 bids in. You can see on the slide there, you have 3 bids, one from Golf Cart Specialties, one from Golf Cart Incorporated, and then also Golf Carts Services. My recommendation is Golf Cart Specialties, which is the Yamaha golf carts, with a total of $226,504 net after trade-in. One of the things specifically you want to look at is your trade-in value. You can see for both gas-powered carts and the electric lithium battery carts, each company is pretty much right on top of each other for the actual pricing, but Golf Cart Specialties came in significantly higher on the trade-in of the 60 carts we have currently, due to the fact that the 60 carts we have currently are Yamaha carts, so they're going back to a Yamaha dealer, so you can see a significant increase in that trade-in value. My recommendation, like I said, states that we should go with the gas-powered carts, as it shows there on the slide.
Okay, are there any questions in regards to this bid? Councilman McCoy?
Hey, Mike, quick question. The trade-in value portion for Golf Cars Incorporated says trade-in value TBD. Did they give any rationale for why it was TBD?
Because of the time frame, I believe, because it's going to take them longer to get carts to us, so they wanted to evaluate the carts in January of this upcoming year versus giving us a bid at the right time.
10-4, thank you.
Any other questions?
One.
Councilman Henderson?
You may have gone over this at the previous meeting, but what's the estimated lifespan of a Yamaha gas-powered cart?
Well, I mean, just to kind of give you an idea, we have 8 gas-powered carts now from Yamaha that we purchased in 2016, and they are by far, other than the other 42, or actually 52 we have that are non-gas powered, much better. So we've had them we're now at 7 years right now currently.
Right.
And I don't have any problems with them as much as I do the electrics. On top of the electrics themselves, we've had to replace the batteries once already through the whole cycle.
So there's no significant service problems over the past 7 years for
Not for the gas.
gas-powered carts? Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, if there's no further questions, I'll accept the motion.
Councilman Holland, I make the motion to award the bid for gas golf carts to Golf Cart Specialties in the amount of $226,540 with trade-in as presented.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Holland. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Second from Councilman McCoy. Any questions on the motion? If not, we'll do a roll call vote. Councilman Holland?
Aye.
Councilman McCoy?
Aye.
Councilman Henderson?
Aye.
Councilman Bradley?
Aye.
Well done. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate
you
all
very
your
much.
work on this.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, next we have the bids on the transformers, and Director Bennett's here for this one.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Council, and City Manager.
Good evening.
The city put out bids for transformers. They came back in the other day, received 3 bids. One from United Utility Services, which sells the ERMCO transformer. 2 from Gray Bar Electric. One was for Square D and one was for Hitachi Energy transformers. ERMCO transformers came in at $125,694 with a delivery in the first quarter of 2024. Gray Bar Square Ds were $240,148.70 and was a 99 to 101 week delivery. And Hitachi Energy was $263,566.67, also with a 99 to 100 week delivery period. We have a lot of ERMCO transformers out on the system. We haven't had many problems with them. I would recommend awarding the bid to the low bidder, United Utility Services, in the amount of $125,694. This bid came in $10,306, less than I had budgeted in the upcoming budget FY24 for these listed transformers. So it's a savings of about $10,300.
Mr. Bennett, why do you figure there's such a sharp difference in price on the bids? I mean, they're not close.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't Gray Bar's never bid transformers for us before.
Okay.
It's the first time they bid on them. Another company who has bid on them didn't get their prices from their manufacturer till the day the bids were due. They emailed me at like 11 o'clock, and I said, well, if you can get them filled out and get it to City Hall by 2:15, we'll take it, but that didn't happen. And they're usually fairly competitive with United Utility, with the ERMCO brand.
Okay.
I got ERMCO before, but it was a different distributor. So after COVID, they changed how they were selling transformers. I'd bought stuff from United Utility before, other items from them. I've dealt with them before. I'm thinking some of it may be just that they're giving true pricing, where some of the other ones know there's a high demand and they're getting what they can get for it.
Okay.
That's just kind of my gut feeling.
All right, any questions from council?
Please.
Councilman
Just
Henderson?
out of curiosity, Bill, when you did your budgeting, did you use a vendor to set your budget, or was it just happenstance that you came in close?
I used recent prices that we had,
Okay.
and then, just figured I'd just use my best judgment and figured an increase, a certain percent increase, and went through and came pretty close.
I think it's pretty- yeah.
Well done.
Congratulations. I appreciate
Thank
you.
that.
He's that good.
Okay, if there's no other questions, I'll accept the motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make the motion to award the bid for transformers to United Utility Services in the amount of $125,694 as presented.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman McCoy. Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Holland, I second that motion.
Okay, any questions on the motion? If not, we'll do a roll call vote. Councilman McCoy?
Aye.
Councilman Holland?
Aye.
Councilman Henderson?
Aye.
Councilman Bradley?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you again,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Bennett, for your work on that. Appreciate it. All right, next we have the bids for the Wolford Street Improvement Project.
Okay, Ben Hearn, with our city engineers, is going to come up and go through his recommendation. I got to apologize, our Director of Public Works could not be in attendance this evening. He wanted to be in attendance to support Mr. Hearn, but Mr. Hearn assures me he can handle the request.
Certainly. So we received bids Thursday, May 4th for the Wolford Street Improvements Project. We had 2 bids come in, one from Adel and one from G&L. The lowest bid was Adel at $385,000. We reviewed the proposal, we found it compliant, they provided all the required documentation. One specific thing in this bid, which is a little different than typical, we requested that they provide a notice to proceed, an estimated notice to proceed date, because we wanted to get this work done during the summer months when school's out, there's less traffic in this corridor. So Adel indicated that they could start as soon as possible. Talking to them after the bid, they said they had other work in the area with the Seaford School District, and that this project would work nicely with that. So our recommendation is to move forward with Adel as Adel Construction Co. in the amount of $385,000 for this project.
And just a couple comments. The project is fully funded through last year's bond bill appropriation. We had about $185,000 in the bond bill appropriation. When the engineering estimate came in, it was actually a little higher, just around $400,000. We asked for reappropriation of some additional funds, which the senator and the representative did support. So this is fully funded at this amount.
Okay, are there any questions for Mr. Hearn?
I have one.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Ben, had he done any work for us before?
I'm not specific on the exactly for the city, but they did do 2 of the contracts for the Western Sussex transmission facilities, which is the county and the city combined, and they did pretty good work there. Yes.
Awesome. Okay. If there are no further questions, I'll accept a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to award the bid for the Wolford Street Improvements Project to the low bidder, Adel Construction Company Incorporated, in the amount of $385,000 as presented.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Henderson. Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Holland, I second that motion.
Okay, are there any questions on the motion? All right, we'll do a roll call vote. Councilman Henderson?
Aye.
Councilman Bradley?
Aye.
Councilman Holland?
Aye.
Councilman McCoy?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Hearn. As always, good to see you. Okay,
All right.
old
So
business.
thank you, sir. At a previous council meeting on 4/25, Chris Sims with Smart Utility Management was here and did present to the city council a recommendation he did an analysis of our water and sewer rates, and he presented a recommendation that was put forth by the operations committee. And at that meeting, council asked questions related to his analysis, and council requested some follow-up information. And it was specifically around one of the line items that Mr. Sims had included that had sharply increased. Mr. Sims followed up the next day with an email to the city staff that we sent out to council, and I'll just hit some of the highlights there. He notes that the professional services increased from $105,289 in fiscal year ending 2021 up to $404,090 budgeted for fiscal year ending 2023, while there has been $71,841, or a 34% increase in chemicals since fiscal year 2021. So therefore, with those two expenses, they account for almost $380,000 increase in other supplies and expenses. Sent it out to council, did not hear any questions back. That was the only question we received from his presentation. Certainly, we, between the Director of Finance, Director of Electric, and myself, we can try to answer any additional questions that council might have. But we just wanted to follow up with council, make sure they got the information that they requested.
Okay, are there any questions in regards to this analysis and proposed rate increase? If there is not, I'll accept the motion.
Councilman Holland, Mr. Mayor, make a motion to accept recommendation of the Operations Committee and request staff to prepare FY24 budget with option 2. They will increase the water and sewer rates 6% overall, and will reduce the EDU value 250 GPDs as presented.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Holland. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Councilman McCoy seconds. Is there any questions to the motion? If not, we'll do a roll call vote. Councilman Holland?
Aye.
Councilman McCoy?
Aye.
Councilman Henderson,
Aye.
Councilman Bradley.
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous, so this will move forward and work its way through our budget process.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then we have our second reading of Section 8, and Mr. Bailey's going to come up and answer any questions.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So this will be the second reading for amendments to Chapter 8 relating to commercial vehicles, specifically subsection 8.2.15. Just go over some of the highlights here. Basically, we're increasing the size slightly of vehicles that are be allowed to park on a residential property from to 16,000 pounds. This encompasses most of the larger trucks that are out there, up to like an F-450 dually that are registered for that weight. And then we are also going to limit truck parking on the streets everywhere in town, large trucks, semi-trucks and things like that, unless they're in for local delivery. And then we're given provisions where they be allowed to park anywhere on a commercial or industrial property.
Okay.
The entire code there's in front of you.
Okay. Through cleanup week, I've been riding around a little bit more and didn't realize just how many commercial vehicles are parked on the street. What is our path forward to address those issues when we do find them?
Street parking is enforced by the Seaford Police Department, so we'll have to work with them when we identify the problems and get them to go out there. and
Code will
make
notify
contact.
police.
So just to add, if this code is adopted by the city council this evening, then it'll be advertised by the code department. It becomes effective 30 days afterwards.
Correct.
So then we'll work with the chief of police, the code department, if it's on private property. We'll obviously start notifications of people that might not have known, try to work with them, find them another place to park, get them into compliance. But ultimately, there will be enforcement that will have to occur, but it'll be a process.
Okay, very good. All right, are any questions from council? Okay, if not, I will accept the motion.
Councilman Holland, Mr. Mayor, I make the motion to approve amendments to section 8.2.15 of the Seaford Municipal Code that will regulate the parking of trucks in commercial district as presented.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Holland. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Councilman McCoy seconds. Any questions on this amendment to section 8.2.15? If not, we'll do a roll call vote. Councilman Holland.
Aye.
Councilman McCoy.
Aye.
Councilman Henderson.
Aye.
Councilman Bradley.
Aye.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your work on this. Okay, reminder of meetings.
So just a couple, citywide cleanup week is May 8th through 12th, so it's currently going on. It's going well. Crews are moving through the city. They're a little bit ahead of schedule right now. The rain slowed them down a little bit today. A couple equipment breakdowns, but it's going very well. Mayor and Council Budget Meeting number 2, May 16th, so next Tuesday at 6 p.m. here in Council Chambers. That's all I have, sir.
Okay, very good. All right, so we're going to do committee reports just as we have it laid out tonight. So we're going to start with administration and IT with Councilman
Okay.
Bradley.
Good evening, gentlemen. First of all, I want to thank you all for your support. I have gotten smiles and nods along the way, so I know that I'm proud to be a part of the team. Hope I can live up to your expectations. That being said, I'm going to tell you I let you down. I was asked to come here last week, and I was not able to do it, so we scheduled a meeting this morning, and therefore didn't realize that what my responsibilities were as yet. Okay? So I went through the list, and I can say there were a couple of things that I have done, one of which was I attended the budget meeting last week, which I thought was very interesting and informative. As a matter of fact, I've never done a budget, if you could believe such a thing, so it was interesting. And also, I would like to report that the following day, I went to Representative Short's breakfast meeting. I've attended 3 now. I encourage everybody in this room to go. I find it very informative and interesting in the fact that not only does he tell you what's going on, he explains how it got to this point so you can have a better understanding of how we're in some of the muck we're in right now. And I find that very interesting. As a matter of fact, I'm spreading the word as much as I can.
Yep.
So with that, I will be much more prepared for the next meeting.
Well, we understand it's a lot when you run, it's a lot when you take office, and so the public knows what happens over the next couple of weeks. Mr. Bradley will be taking a tour of the city and meet each department and each head and really get a full understanding. And then it is interesting, you dive right into the budget when you get elected. It's, you jump right into the deep end, so it's good. We're glad to have you on board, and we all have been in the same spot you're in, and so we're happy to help and answer any questions to get you up to speed as fast as you can get. So
thank you.
Appreciate you. Okay, Councilman Henderson, Police and Fire.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There are 2 full reports from each chief. I'll start off with Chief Wilson's report. Under fire statistics for the fire department, we have a total average of 2.5 calls per day. The May average so far is 1.7 calls per day. In EMS, we have a total calls for 2023, the average of 10.8 calls per day, and the average for May is 9.8 calls. There have been a total of 1,679 calls this year for an average of 13.1 calls per day. And on other statistics, you'll see that the in-city, out-of-city, and the assist fire for the year. There's 310, and EMS were 991. Chief Wilson has included a chart for hours in service, personnel in service, total personnel hours, and miles traveled. And you'll see that I think he has a number. He has a number for March. Maybe that's a lagging number, but hours in service are 1,641.87. Personnel in service total for the year is 5,632, and total personnel hours 2,375.5, and a total miles traveled 12,196.3. There were some significant incidents to report on 4/26. They assisted Station 77 for a barn fire on Trap Pond Road. That would be Georgetown. On the 6th of May, there was an out-of-city call for on Ellis Mill Road for a working trailer fire, and also on that same date on Camellia Lane, another working trailer fire. Apparatus, Rescue 87 is out of service for to go to Wayside for repairs that from a crash that occurred last year. Engine 87-2 is out of service for a mechanical issue waiting a part. The chief has started issuing some data regarding fuel usage, and you might recall seeing those over the past several meetings. The fuel pumps were used 65 times for a total of 834.99 gallons. Total cost of $3,170.96. The gross cost is $3,706.04. So there's a disparity there because the fire trucks don't pay tax.
They're part of it. You're correct.
So unleaded was used 25 times and 40 times for the diesel, which comes up to the sum of 65 that we started out with. The next training will be Saturday, May 17th at 1900 hours. There will be some sort of training. They haven't determined what it's going to be yet. The next chart shows the amount of training hours and the number of different subjects of study and the amount of time that people are spending training. in emergency medical services. The ambulance committee has received their specification bids back, and they'll be open by the chief at the next meeting. Firefighter EMT Logan Cleversey has been hired as full-time, and they still have 3 open full-time positions. You'll see a bunch of news and events. Of note, Chief Wilson and firefighter Allie Scritchfield, which, by the way, is the chief's wife, attended and volunteered at the National Fallen Firefighters Weekend from May 4th to May 7th to honor 144 line-of-duty deaths that occurred in 2022. Now, the chief did make a distinction, and I don't have the exact numbers, but they changed the way that line-of-duty deaths occurred. Some of these deaths are complications of service and not actually dying in a fire or some other actual while working fire. So the number's up from last year, or from previous years, but it's still a number that's worth noting, that 144 firefighters lost their lives in service last year. They had Ladder 87 was at Nanticoke Little League opening day, and the Tower 87 was, you could always look for it, and it would always be displaying a flag. So it was really nice that they had this had the flag fitted up with our new to us ladder truck. And I will make a note that a note of optimism. The chief announced at our meeting yesterday that the fire department has recently installed 4 new members, and they have 2 other candidates pending. So the department has a little growth spurt, much needed shot in the arm. And a lot of these firefighters are already trained. They'll be doing some light training, but at least 2 of them were professional firefighters in a previous career, so they're going to hit the ground running. Seaford Police Department, Chief Kraft has submitted, as always, a thorough report. Total complaints for the year, 3792. And you'll see the distribution throughout. Want to also, under burglaries, there were 48 burglaries, and in parentheses, 25 of those, almost half of those, or a little over half, were thefts from vehicles. And generally, these vehicles are unlocked. They're not broken windows. They're as simple as someone just opened the door and took something. So be careful out there. Under all crimes, there were 199 crimes reported, 11 felonies, 34 misdemeanors, 12 violations, 1 civil, and 142 other. For an 81% clearance rate, that clearance rate is down slightly, but still above the national average. There were a total of 19 complaints consisting of assault, larceny, burglary, fraud, and sex crimes. 7 of those were felonies, 12 were misdemeanors, and that excludes shoplifting. There's a lot of pending active and pending inactive crimes due to the nature of the crime. They're doing investigative work. Under drug complaints, there were three drug crimes, a juvenile arrest, 1 pending active, and 1 prosecution declined. I'll move on. Traffic citations, 236 traffic contacts with 37 citations and 3 warnings. That's down from the previous period, I believe. 1 DUI, 24 crashes, 15 of those reportable, 1 injury accident. to report there. That happened on Stein Highway and School Lane. The chief notes that driver inattention is the primary cause of the accidents. There were 6 hit-and-run accidents during this period, 1 pedestrian accident related to a hit-and-run, and 1 school bus accident at East High Street, or High Street, and North Conwell Street. And that's related also to a hit-and-run. No alcohol or drug-related crashes this period. A number of significant events that I'll leave for you to review. The administration attended a number of meetings over the period. Of note, on the 5th of May, the Seaford PD, the Laurel PD, and Delaware State Police met in regards to place-based crimes, and this is in reaction to the recent shootings that have happened in Laurel, shots fired in Seaford, and shots fired out in the county that the state police have had to respond to. So they have gotten together to communicate with each other more closely to see if some of these are related and to develop a strategy on how to respond to that. Under events, the police department was very active at Unified Seaford Prayer Breakfast, the National Day of Prayer at City Hall, Nanticoke Little League opening ceremony, Nanticoke River Yacht Club's blessing of the fleet, and Impacts Graphics Community Day, which was attended by Staff Sergeant Horn. Other training, and there's a chart of criminal arrests that gets updated every period, so you can review that. That's the end of the report, but I would like to extend thanks to Senator Carper for visiting Seaford on Friday. He visited several businesses, but the 3 that I had the pleasure of attending, one was One Way Insurance Group here on High Street, and then next door at Birmingham Meadery, and then we proceeded out to the Nalon Capital Shopping Center with Rob Herrera to review his progress and his plans with the senator. It's always interesting to see how Senator Carper works the room, and it's always a fun time to be in his presence. So I was honored to be there, and want to thank Tricia and Charles for keeping my mouth shut and not sticking my foot in it.
Nope, you did well.
So that concludes my report.
All right, thank you, Councilman Henderson. All right, next we have Code, Parks and Rec, Councilman Holland.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this time, I did not get a code department report. My apologies. So we'll go straight to Parks and Recs. They repaired a chain climber at the Jay's Nest and inspected the newly installed playground at Nuttall Park, which I had some pictures to show, which looks very nice. And they prepared online registration and advertisement for the youth pickleball clinic. And they met with Doug Henry, head of buildings and grounds for Seaford School District, to come up with alternative solutions to repairs at the pickleball/tennis courts, currently in contract with 2 vendors. And they submitted agreement to Tool Design to begin their traffic study for a bike grant, and have received $21,500 from the state. And they are currently updating the Riverfest website, and it'll be held a monthly Riverfest committee meeting. And that concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Finally, we have Electric, Councilman McCoy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Since the last report, the crew started digging in the secondary conduit in Bel Air single family. They did some digging for Parks and Rec and Jay's Nest with the excavator. And Dalton Hignott practiced for a CDL driving test. Regarding our director, he had a standard director's meeting, council liaison meeting, and ordered transformers that will be FY24 budget. Also had a staff meeting and went with the crew to a problem on Circuit 310. Over the course of the next few weeks, we're going to finish cutting the trees in the industrial park, set a new pole on Bridgeville Highway near my eye doctor for a riser pole, and continue changing the lights on Sussex Highway to LED. And I'll just echo the sentiments of my fellow councilmen. Great to see the city on Saturday for opening day, Little League. Just the kids were ecstatic, and just a great event to be a part of. And that's been my report.
Okay. Calvin, do you have anything you need to report on?
Yes, sir.
Well, we want to say thank you for coming and sitting at the table. This is just a small gift on behalf of the city. Always honored when young people can sit through a city council meeting. We're tickled when adults can sit through it. So, but it really is a blessing to have you here, and glad there was a seat at the table that you were able to come and join us.
Well, thank you for having me, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And with that, if there's no other business, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So I thought that was Calvin there for a second. I'm sorry. I said now he's going to speak. So we have a motion from Councilman McCoy. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Henderson seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carried unanimous. Thank you. Good night.
Do you need any help on your notes?
You made it, Michael. First one.
It's up to you. I just talk over